Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this video. So this is an ongoing series that we are doing about the nodes in the houses. And of course, we have covered a lot of houses, and today we'll be looking at 7th house Ketu. And how does Ketu behave, or how does Ketu give its results when it is placed in the 7th house of the birth chart? But then before we go to the meat of the video, kindly subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family if you find it useful, and please leave behind your valuable feedback in the comment section. So the 7th house is all about the relationships. And because Ketu is ambivalent, in the 7th house, it creates a vacuum in the relationships of the native. And as such, the native finds it difficult to enter into a relationship or to maintain or fulfill contracts. So such a native is typically uninterested in marriage, partnerships, bilateral agreements, or social expectations honoring equity, fairness, justice, or even sharing. And although such a native minimizes his or her obligations towards the partner, these people expect devotion and unconditional love because they think that they are most deserving. And people having Ketu in the 7th house, they are usually accused of taking their partners for granted, by considering their needs as unimportant and rejecting them if their demands become too distracting. And for these people, it's very easy to break promises, okay? And if promises, as I said, if promises are made, they are broken. If there is a contract, it's torn up. If negotiations are underway, they are cancelled. Okay, that is what Ketu can do because Ketu represents headlessness. So a relationship can work if the Ketu partner is subservient to the Rahu native's need for primacy. Okay. A relationship can also work if these people spend sufficient time apart so that the Rahu native is free from any demands the Ketu native makes of him or her. And often these relationships devolve into a succession of time-limited partnerships. So these people will seek partners reflecting their own ambivalence about relationships. Okay, maybe the partner does not care about fidelity or a stable marriage. And since Ketu is considered to be the headless one without ego, the partner requires no gratification or self-validation. The partner will be content within himself or herself, without the burning ambition that drives the Rahu native. And as a result, the partner may remain aloof, going through the motions of relationship without active engagement. Okay. And because Ketu implies loss and surrender, the partner may be abandoned, physically, emotionally, psychologically. And consequently, partners may feel permanently unwell and end up seeking help through friends or doctors or therapists. And in frustration or despair, they may give up entirely, seeking consolation or recovery via spirituality, which is forming a relationship with the divine. Now, Ketu in the 7th also suggests a subservient partner. The native will be attracted to hierarchical relationships, for example, a guru and disciples, a pop star and his groupies, a teacher and his students, a boss and his employees. So such relationships are often non-contractual, especially regarding sexual interaction. The native exercises his or her authority when convenient, will discard the used up partner and moves on to the next. And one-to-one relationships may be typical, but in his or her mind, there is no harm in one with many because there are no contractual boundaries anyway with these people. So there is this devil-may-care attitude, and the native acquires a reputation for physical, emotional, or psychological cruelty in relationships. And for them, relationships are a game without rules, and these people will make relationships up as they go anywhere. So the partner simultaneously must accept or withdraw. Either way, the native wins. And how bad can Ketu be in the 7th house? The native can have a habit of dehumanizing his or her partner so that they can be discarded later on without remorse. And Ketu in the 7th often undermines togetherness. So there is often a distance between partners. For example, there may be a cultural, emotional, physical, financial, psychological, or sexual distance such that the partner is perceived as inaccessible. And ultimately, the native becomes dissatisfied and moves on. Now, if Ketu is in the 7th house, Rahu will be in the 1st house. So such a native will have high sexual desires. But then because Ketu is in the 7th house, those desires will be merely absorbed without being reciprocated. And no matter how much these people attempt to arouse the partner to be as actively engaged or obsessed with sex as they are, the partner usually remains relatively aloof. And ultimately, this provokes a kind of dissatisfaction and encourages such natives to look for someone whose passion matches theirs. So, Rahu in the first house is all about controlling the dynamics of the relationship, which will, of course, happen with Ketu in the seventh. Now, Ketu in the seventh will also imply lack of attachment to sexual partners, and this can manifest as either indiscriminate infidelity or celibacy. And with infidelity, the partner does not care who he or she can have sex with. With celibacy, the partner does not care if they have sex at all. So determining whether the manifestation happens via infidelity or celibacy, it will depend on the seventh house and the seventh lord influences. For example, say Venus influencing Ketu will favor indulgent pleasure, while Saturn settles for abstention. Okay, so these natives will have very fuzzy sexual boundaries, and the partner's expectations of fidelity are largely ignored. But then, as I said, other planets can have an influence. For example, Jupiter, if strong, may offer moral propriety, while Saturn, if strong, may show restraint. But because Ketu has this lack of discrimination that knows no boundaries, in the seventh house, it can suggest experimental, kinky, or even non-traditional sex. Inhibitions, rules, and normal expectations go out of the window, inviting an animalistic bedroom romp. And although this may temporarily satisfy the passions of the native, it can also leave the partner feeling detached, lacking the personal contract that binds most relationships. And in time, things can just come to a halt, resulting in disappointment, detachment, disenchantment, distrust, as well as disengagement. Now, if the native is evolved enough to recognize the spiritual nature of the partner, the relationship can be transformed. And rather than focusing on raw sexuality, these people might find spiritual expression through tantric practice, for which the partner may be an appropriate channel. Okay, so this is all about Ketu in the seventh house. Do let me know if it resonates with you. Of course, most of it will, some of it won't. And of course, not everyone has the same chart. Everyone has a unique chart. But then these were the general readings for a seventh house Ketu. Please do leave behind your feedback in the comment section. And as always, if you need a consultation regarding your chart, you're always welcome to reach out at the number provided in the description box. That's all from me in this video. I'll see you soon tomorrow with the video on Rahu in the 8th house. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.